Oh, it's time for class.
Class is in session!
Roll call! Bueller?
I'm gonna be late for class.
Bueller?
Am I hallucinating here? Just what in the hell do you think you're doing?
I'm late for class.
You're mine now. You belong to me.
Did you study for the test?
No more complaining. No more Mr. Kimball to go to the bathroom. Nothing. There is no bathroom.
Welcome to another episode of Middle Class Film Class. I'm your host for today, Pete.
I'm Javier.
And I'm Joseph.
And on today's episode, we are reviewing a movie from the Wheel of Destiny from our old pal Javier, the OG classmate, the OG Patreon member, and cool ass yard duty. This episode, we're reviewing Blackberry.
Yeah, what can I do for you?
Okay, picture a cell phone and an email machine all in one thing. There is a free wireless internet signal all across North America, and nobody has figured out how to use it. It's like the Force. Sorry, have you seen Star Wars?
No.
That guy is sketchy. I don't think he's sketchy. The guy's a shark.
I know how to market it, and I know who we can sell it to. But I want 50% of the company, and I've got to be CEO.
I don't know who you think you are, but deal. Are you joking?
We are in a race to get this thing to market, and we are a year behind. I need a prototype.
What do you call it?
It's called a Blackberry.
Try typing with your thumbs.
All right, Blackberry. So this is a movie from 2023, directed by Matt Johnson, who is, I think of him like an indie film hero in a way, you know?
Definitely.
Yeah, and I know Javier has pretty strong feelings about him too. This is written by Jackie McNish, which is the book is based off of Losing the Signal. Sean Silkoff also wrote Losing the Signal, and then the screenplay is written by the Matts, Matt Johnson and Matthew Miller. I didn't hear the name Matthew Miller before. I thought maybe that was like a Matt Johnson collaborator, but I think it's just a Canadian guy that they kind of got for the CBC to kind of co-op the movie with them. Yeah, so this is starring Jay Baruchel as Mike, Glenn Howerton as Jim, Matt Johnson, the director-writer, as Doug, Kelly Vanderberg as Jasmine, Gregory Ambrose as Young. Anyway, none of those other people matter. It's basically the three main characters. Yeah. Mike, Jim, and Doug are kind of the main ones. And this was put on the Wheel of Destiny for a Patreon pick from Javier, who's filling in for Tyler today. Yeah, that's right.
Tyler's at the dump, swimming in garbage.
still at the dump. There we go.
And so you, Javi, you
wanted us to talk about
You chose this movie. Why this movie of all movies?
Okay, so a couple of things. One is Matt Johnson is probably one of my favorite filmmakers, period. If I had to make a top 5, he would definitely be in it.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
Yeah, really big fan of him.
What the hell's going on down there?
Yeah, can you hear that?
Yeah, they're excited. They're excited.
They're excited.
Matt Johnson.
We like Matt Johnson.
Yeah, he's fantastic. He's so far 3 for 3. His first film, The Dirties, was one that I felt really attached to. It definitely felt like a love letter to people who love movies and love making movies for the sake of making movies.
Yeah.
His second film felt very much like I'm going to challenge myself as a filmmaker with something that's hard. And
as Operation Avalanche?
Operation Avalanche.
Okay.
Yeah. And that I also really, really enjoyed. Not as much as his first film. It's less of a love letter and more of a exploration in film in a lot of ways. And it felt more like a journey for him, but I thought it was still a really compelling movie.
Cool.
And then this one is probably his most commercial movie out there.
Yeah. It feels more like a studio movie.
Yeah. And I knew nothing about this movie going into it other than it was just a Matt Johnson movie in Blackberry. And I kind of assumed that it was going to be almost like a parody making fun of the Steve Jobs movie or something like that.
Social Network or something.
Right. And so I loved those other movies, the Fassbender Steve Jobs one, not
Jobs. I think it's just called Jobs.
Ashton Kutcher one.
Not the Kutcher one.
What was that one called?
Steve.
I thought that one was called Jobs.
Okay, maybe it was. I don't know.
Yeah. Hopefully someone in chat knows.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Is there anybody in the chat still?
Wait, one's called Steve Jobs.
Yeah, one's called Steve Jobs and the other one's called Jobs.
Okay.
I think Kutcher is Jobs, Fassbender is Steve Jobs.
Okay. Danny Boyle directed that one.
Yes.
The Michael Fassbender one.
Yeah. Aaron Sorkin wrote that one. And you can tell he's got very sharp writing. It's almost like a symphony, you know, the way people talk. So I assumed that this was going to be kind of a parody in a way. So I kind of just asked my friends, hey, I'm going to watch this movie by this director who I really, really love. If anyone's interested in watching it. We got 12 people to go who never like even heard of this. And everyone was like, that was fucking good. Why have we never heard of this movie?
Oh, cool.
So I think the reason I brought it up is because I still feel like it's not super talked about. Like it's
Blackberry?
it's getting more popular now, which I'm glad. But I definitely think more people need to watch this. This was one of my favorite films of last year. So yeah, that's the main reason I brought it up.
What's your relationship with Blackberry, the product?
Never had one. Knew about it. Didn't give a shit about it. All that other stuff.
My bad. I'm on the YouTube live. I'm in the chat and I can hear it. So you never had one, but you knew about it.
Yeah. I mean, did you have one?
Yeah, I did. I was BBMing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, BBM.
He's got a BBM.
BlackBerry Messenger was like the alternative to texting, and they do cover it in the movie when they talk about free texting only on BlackBerry.
Yeah.
That was part of the appeal for me when I got it. Was that I had a couple friends that were on Blackberries, and they were like, it was almost like AIM, like AIM.
Yeah.
You know, AOL
oh,
Instant,
yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
AOL Instant Messenger.
Yeah. Do you remember your AIM name?
Crazy Genius 13. I still use it.
Did you have a name?
I don't for AIM.
Yeah.
I was more of an MSN Messenger.
What was your name on
What the
that one?
fuck? Are you kidding me? Get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
MSM. Next time you're going to tell me you had a Zune.
A Zune? No, my dad had a Zune.
Okay, that tracks.
No, my dad had a Zune. I don't remember my name though. It's probably like my email, like Diablo Rules or something like that.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say I used to have some Diablo based usernames.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had a BlackBerry Curve 8330. That was my model, and I got into it enough. This is ridiculous, but I got into it enough where I would buy cases online on like BlackberryParts.com, and I could customize the roller ball, the little track ball. I never liked the track pad with the, they had the ball at some point, a tactile ball. And that was kind of on brand for BlackBerry, was the functional click. And that was the big thing. Like I had this Nokia, can't remember the name of it now, but it looked like a classic Nokia brick phone, the unbreakable brick. But you could flip open the faceplate and the screen would turn sideways. And then you could type on a full QWERTY keyboard.
Right. Yeah.
And I was like, ooh, that's dope because I can text under the desk at high school.
Yeah.
Without looking at it.
Yeah. Pete, what are you doing under there? Yeah,
I know. Checking off. I'm not on my phone. But I got the 8330 kind of like after I graduated high school, because I only got a cell phone in like my senior year of high school. Before that, I had a pager, paging it up.
Oh, nice.
Oh yeah, first 3 years of high school, I had a pager.
Someone's trying to call you.
911 with a phone number next to it. You're like, oh shit. And you call that person, they'd be like, you want to hang out after school today?
Yeah.
I had to ask the nurse if I could use the phone to call you. But so, yeah, BBM was a big thing because you had like friends on the BBM network, BlackBerry Messenger network. And it was almost like you had your own little chat and you could go back and forth with them, which has evolved into like text conversations now and group chats now. But it was like that back then.
Yeah.
Facebook Messenger owes a huge debt of gratitude to BlackBerry Messenger. And I would buy the cases. You could snap the back of the case off and the front of the case off. And I would paint them because I was a car painter back then. And I would paint them with bright colors whenever a funky color would come into the shop. And I'd paint cases and swap cases out. And people are like, where'd you get that case? I'm like, I fucking painted it. It's car paint. Asshole. Oh, you want to buy one? And I would slang them. I would sell cases, BlackBerry cases.
Slinging BlackBerry.
Slanging BlackBerry cases, yeah. So that was my exposure to that. And then eventually I kept it all the way up until the point where droids became a thing.
Yeah.
So I dipped my toe into the droid pool, like a Droid X or whatever it was called. And then eventually my work gave me an iPhone for work. And I was like, then I had an iPhone for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
So, Joseph, how about you? Blackberries?
Blackberries? No. I had never had one.
Like the fruit?
No.
Don't like the fruit?
The fruit? I mean, it's all right. I like blackberry pie.
There you go.
Apple blackberry pie. Delicious. My dad never had a BlackBerry. He had that cell phone. The first cell phone I remember him having was like, it was like a flip phone, and the texture was like a PlayStation analog stick.
Yeah.
That's the texture of the outside of the phone, and then it had the little antenna you pull out.
Oh, really?
And it flipped, and it had the screen that was very narrow when he opened it.
That's interesting.
But no, never had a BlackBerry. I think he had a Palm Pilot at one point.
Yeah, I was going to say the Palm Pilots have the antenna.
Yeah.
They make fun of it in the movie, too.
Yeah.
It's like, they need a fucking antenna for their modem. We're not going to merge with Palm Pilot.
I was much I think I was just too young to have a Blackberry when they were out. So
Yeah.
I missed the train.
That's fair. My first one was the Nokia, like the brick one, like the small little brick where you could just play like Snake all day.
Yep.
Hell yeah, Snake's my jam.
Yeah. And then my first, I think, real phone was my mom's hand-me-down Razor.
Oh, the Razor?
Yeah.
Nice.
Your mom gave you a used razor?
She gave me a used Razor, man.
Was it dull?
Dude, it was so dull. Oh my God.
Okay, so that's our history of the Blackberry. A little bit more context on the movie before we get into initial thoughts. There's two versions. There's the theatrical cut, which came out in 2023. And then later on, I think late in 2023, they released a limited series, Blackberry Limited Series, which is a 3-part movie, which adds 16 additional minutes of content to the movie. Which version did you guys watch?
I just watched the movie. Like, yeah, not the episodic.
And this is unusual for you too, because you, Javier, historically, you've told us you don't rewatch movies.
I don't.
You'll wait 10 years to rewatch a movie.
I still haven't seen Her. It's been like 15 years.
Watched it one time,
Watched it the
loved
one
it.
time. Yeah.
And then 15 years before you revisit.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, that's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
And so you revisited this movie.
Yes.
And I watched the limited series because I watched the movie version the first time. So I have a little bit of context for that later. But Javi, go ahead and give your initial thoughts on this on our second rewatch.
Yeah. So I actually think I found a lot more to enjoy about this movie. It's kind of very clearly broken up into 3 acts. I think the first 2 acts are more on the compelling side. The third act, I think, is also really serviceable. It's just not as compelling or I think as character driven as the first 2.
Yeah, for sure.
I do love how it rounds about with the hissing and the buzzing.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of that, but
I do like that story arc.
yeah,
Small
yeah, yeah.
detail arc.
It's very much like you see
Comes around.
Like, yeah, very slowly how he's kind of turning into a person who he never wanted to be.
Who he hates most.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed it the second time around. So I'll probably see it in probably another like 17 years, something like that. Yeah.
By then, Matt Johnson will have released 5 other movies.
Yeah, I mean, if we're lucky, man. He slow bleed.
Works kind of like, I don't know when Operation Avalanche came out, but
It came right after the Dirties.
really?
Yeah, so he had kind of a big break there.
Yeah. I mean, this is a much bigger budget and more names in this movie compared to his previous.
Yeah, they actually have names for this time. Before it was like his pals.
Yeah.
It's just like his friends making a guerrilla style movie.
That's exactly what it was. Like people from the Dirties he took and brought over to Operation Avalanche. I didn't see any like same faces from there other than Matt Johnson, who first off does an excellent job. Operation Avalanche was maybe the only one, but he did a great job in the Dirties, being a believable high schooler.
I loved him in the Dirties. Yeah,
he was so and I'm like, I've definitely seen these kids in school. And I think he did a great job with this too. He just does a good job of casting himself as a believable character archetype.
He's really funny too.
Hilarious. Yeah.
And I think besides the over the top acting of Glenn Howerton, I think he's easily the funniest part of this movie. Like
Definitely.
he adds all the humor comes from him.
Yeah. He's got great comedic timing. Super good.
Yeah.
Joseph.
Me?
Yeah,
My
Joseph.
Okay.
Initial thoughts.
Yeah, so this is a first watch for me, and I mean, I kind of knew the kind of movie that I was going into, kind of like a rise to fame or power of sorts, and then an ultimate like demise, which I do kind of enjoy those kinds of stories. Like Social Network kind of follows that. Obviously, Facebook succeeds in its way, but like more about the characters in that fall out from being friends first and then business partners, and then there's this big drama and legal battles and stuff. So I like that kind of story, and I really did enjoy Blackberry. I thought it was really compelling, like you said, in the first 2 acts. Really exciting in the first 2 acts.
Yeah,
I think just like what they're doing, and like you can feel the tension. Like we have to have this prototype tomorrow. Like we have to do everything tonight, and then you see the prototype, and it's just like this. Yeah, this thing, it looked like it was duct taped together.
Yeah,
and it is just really funny. Aside from being, I guess, like a real life event that happened, and it sort of dramatizing it, it is just like really funny. Like Glenn Howerton was perfectly cast, I think, to play that kind of character. And even though I think that the bald's makeup was, I feel like kind of like goofy, and I could see through it a little bit.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
He was really bald for this.
Yeah.
He actually was.
Really?
I'm not joking.
Was he
okay.
really?
He was really bald for
It
this.
looks like you could. I can't see the
Like
line on it.
his whole head was bald.
Like,
Or
yeah,
did he just shaved the top?
He's just shaved the top.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There's actually, because he's on a podcast too with the Always Sunny cast.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Tyler was talking about that last week.
And there was a moment where they were talking about it. He was wearing a beanie and he takes it off. He's like, yeah, this is for my movie. And that was real.
It's just bald on the top.
Yeah.
That's so
Part of
funny.
me feels like Glenn Howerton would have worn a bald cap just for that gag. To be like, look, I really did it, guys. You know,
it's a real Last of Us draft situation then.
maybe maybe it's that combined with, you know how when someone freshly shaves their head and it looks very pale,
Yeah.
and then versus a person who's been living it for 10 years and it's the same color as their face skin.
Yeah.
Michael Rooker in Mallrats clearly looks like he just shaved it for that production versus Ed Harris. But him with Jay Baruchel's wig,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
that's probably the twofer.
But yeah, it's super enjoyable. It kind of is filmed in a similar style to his previous movies. Like it still feels like a documentary-esque in a way. Like we're kind of far away watching things happen. A lot of telephoto lenses in this, and then the handheld sort of kind of documentary style
Yeah.
filmmaking in it. But yeah, it was really compelling. I really enjoyed the story, and I like how it kind of comes around with the hissing, and now he is the person who's Glenn Howerton's character by the end of the movie, Jay Baruchel. Like he becomes that person who he was kind of totally like the antithesis of that person in the beginning. Now he is the thesis of that person.
Yeah.
But yeah, really enjoyable. Really liked it.
All right, great. So on second watch, I watched the theatrical version and I watched this for the first time, and I watched the 3-part miniseries this time, and it felt perfect as this limited series.
Really?
Yeah, it felt great. I was thinking, oh, I'm going to see the clunkiness of it or whatever, and it's like kind of shoehorn into it. But I mean, think about it. 3-act structure, 3-part miniseries. It really makes sense. They get to the end of the first one, right when the Blackberry breaks, and then the second part is the hostile takeover and them trying to scramble to get that, and then the third part is the fallout from the decisions they made from that, scrambling.
Yeah.
And, I looked into, I'll talk a little bit later about the differences, but they essentially planned all along to do it this way.
Really?
It was supposed to be a limited series.
Oh, wow.
As they started shooting the film, they realized this is kind of leaning more like a movie. The structure we have it is more like a movie. And so they cut it into there. And then as Matt Johnson is making decisions with the editor, and they're like, I really don't want to cut that scene out. Oh, we could use it for the series though. So they would cut the movie, kill your darling, and then save that later for the series.
I see.
And the other thing that was really cool about it was in the limited series is you get a lot of the interstitials at the end and the beginning of each segment that kind of show the social impact currently, because it was from 1996 to 2003. From the first act to the second act. They blow up, it's 2003, and then it shows all this live footage of Oprah giving everybody in her audience Blackberries and all this kind of stuff, and people walking around with their hands, face in their phone, which is now a staple of today. But back then, people were like, this is the devil. They're talking about outlawing the Blackberries because they call it a crackberry, and it's going, and it's showing real footage of business people being their lives taken over by the Blackberry. And I really liked that. It lent a little bit more realism to, I wasn't old enough to really feel that at the time. My exposure to it was a lot more ancillary, so that was really cool in that sense. But like Javier, I think this was even better a second time. Yeah, really good. I think I rated it at 3.5 on the first one, and spoilers for the end of the show, but this is probably like a 4.5 star. It's really funny, really good. The structure of it is great, and I didn't appreciate the payoff for the buzzing. Last time, the really only kind of circular structure of the story that I saw, noticed directly was Glenn Howerton's Doug was his name? No, Doug is the good guy. Doug is Matt Johnson.
Yeah. Mike.
Mike. No, Mike is the other nice one.
No, Mike is Jay Baruchel.
Jim Balsillie.
Oh, Glenn Howerton's
Glenn Howerton. Yeah, so when Jim tells Mike... Balsillie.
Yeah.
It's Balsillie, not Balsillie. But when he is in the car with him and he goes, the best advice I ever got at Harvard was that you got to cut people out of your life, and the more painful the cut, the more impactful or successful it'll mean for you, which is fucking stupid advice. that's stupid.
That's like entrepreneur advice.
Yeah, that's
100%.
If your five best friends aren't talking about stonks and
It's
other shit, then you're doing something wrong.
it's very toxic hustle,
Yeah.
like kind of mentality. Yeah.
Yeah, and there are points in your life where you do have to cut people out of your life, but it's not the rule shouldn't be, the more painful it is, the better it's going to be for you. That's bullshit. And it's like Mike evolving into Jim near the end of the movie, and he finally decides to make the cut. And when he finally decides to take Michael Ironside's character, who I loved his character a lot, and use him as like the muscle to get the nerds to do what they have to do.
Oh yes, yeah, the manager.
Yeah. Did you notice too that near the end he started dressing like Steve Jobs?
A little bit.
Black turtleneck, black blazer, or something like that.
His hair that he gets, he styles.
It gets big,
it
gets
looks
bigger and
terrible.
more fake.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the only kind of circular storytelling that I saw at the beginning was like, okay, yeah, you think that's probably going to pay off, and yes, it does pay off. But the vision, the visual of Mike standing in the warehouse, hearing the buzzing coming from his own product, and he fixes the first one and puts it away, and then he immediately gets the second one out.
Yeah.
I was like, oh fuck, he's gonna Sisyphus himself out of this hole.
Yeah.
And then it tells just how much of a colossal failure that decision was, and Jesus Christ.
Yeah, because he makes the decision we have to distribute from
China.
manufacture from China.
Yeah.
Which was something that he was like totally against from like the beginning.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a lot more funny than I remember as well. It's pretty hilarious anytime that Matt Johnson's on screen. Doug's character is so good.
Mm-hmm.
He's so likable. He's like an annoying likable. It's like in your face, but in the best possible way.
Yeah.
And I really resonated with the vibe of their entire office and their goofy movie night crew through the entire thing. And when it gets blown up and turned into this soulless
It needs
corporation.
to be serious. You feel the tension between them because it's like Mike wants to be successful, and then he has this friend who wants to be successful, but he's I don't want to say he's being lazy or anything. It's just he's not taking it as serious as Mike is.
Yeah, and just a movie that the end result, we talked about Titanic and the predictable nature of the first Omen. You know that the Blackberry is going to blow up. You're just the machinations that get it there is really tense. And when they have their first meeting in New York, and they bring that prototype, and he leaves the prototype in the cab.
Yeah.
Oh God!
I was like, what?
Find the folder.
Yeah.
Find the folder.
Yeah, honestly. You dumb fuck. You stupid fuck. Find the folder.
He somehow gets it back.
Yeah, he goes calls the cab or something.
I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, so I really liked that, and I was tense. As soon as that happened, I'm like, oh, fuck, what are they going to do?
Yeah.
Are they going to get this deal?
Yeah. Just as mysteriously as the folder disappeared, the prototype made it back.
Yeah. So I really liked Saul Rubinek in that role. He's the head of Verizon, head of the Verizon.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Who plays a great character in True Romance. But yeah, a couple interesting good small character parts in this. Carrie Elwes was great.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
a piece of shit guy from Palm Pilot.
Yeah.
That motherfucker. Oh, you know who told me that? Yeah. John Travolta told me that. Yeah, he's a pilot too. Cool. But I really also liked the entire vibe that Jim Balsillie had. Was like, what a piece of shit this guy was. I'm so glad he's on my side. You know?
He's like, whenever he's like, the way he like conducts meetings is he's so insane, but somehow he manages to
pull it out,
convince them.
Yeah. Through sheer bullying alone.
Yeah.
So, hey, that's how the pyramids were built. Bully them into production, I guess. So, yeah, loved it. Great. Good pick, Javier. Very good.
Oh, thanks, y'all.
Yeah.
It is interesting, like going back to we know the story is going to go because of what happened in real life. Like we all have iPhones now. No one has a Blackberry that I'm aware of.
I couldn't tell you the last time I saw one in the flesh.
It was just so interesting watching it, having my phone with me and knowing that like where it's gonna go, and then once they introduce the keynote, which was where I like my relation to the story came in, because I remember watching the very first keynote for the iPhone.
Yeah, me too.
And I was like completely blown away by that presentation, and specifically when he does the scroll.
Yeah,
when he like scrolls on the music app.
Yeah,
and I was waiting for that moment in the story in the movie to come up. I was like, well, when's the iPhone gonna become the ultimate competitor because that's what it is. That's essentially I don't want to say it's the protagonist or antagonist, but
kind of.
It's
the impending force that's going to change everything for Blackberry.
And then the decision that Mike makes, but it's like totally bullshit. Is like, yeah, it's gonna be touchscreen, but it's still gonna have that the Blackberry click underneath the screen. And I'm like, what are you doing?
Oh, you talk about haptic feedback, which doesn't exist yet, you dope.
I know he's trying to talk shit about the iPhone technology while he knows almost nothing about it, and like how they did it or anything. It was just him trying to reason with himself.
That's also the part in the story where he has completely changed now.
Yeah.
You know, the way he dresses, the way he appears, but also the way he handles situations, right? It's not very much, I don't know, adapting to the situation. It's, I'm going to stick to this. I'm a genius. What they're doing is bullshit. And, you know, up until that point, I was kind of still, even though I know how it ends, I was still kind of rooting for Blackberry still,
Yeah, me too.
you know?
Me too.
I hope they make it.
Yeah, you know, and here I am with like an iPhone. I'm like, I love this, but I'm so invested in the story that I want them to succeed somehow.
This is going to change our timeline.
Yeah, it's the fucking, what is it? The Inglorious Bastards of this
Alternate history.
Yeah.
Did you guys do you notice too that as soon as he fully embraces his ballsily, when he fully becomes Jim, that's essentially when he's giving the same presentation at the beginning of the movie from the first act to the same group of people in Verizon, and he's giving a really haphazard pitch to those people. Jim's nowhere to be found. He is now Jim,
trying to buy
and Doug is now
teams.
Mike.
Yeah.
Like he's quite literally taken that role in that presentation.
Yeah.
And does the best that he can, which is not very good.
No. It was interesting, like kind of looking up the real life, like looking up what they actually look like and just seeing how actors portray the actors who they chose to portray these real life people. And I would say that Jim was probably a little bit more accurate than Mike. I feel like the real life person who is Mike, I don't know his last name, but it was just interesting to see that Jay Baruchel was cast as that character, just on a physique standpoint.
Yeah. It definitely feels as if they cast it off vibe.
Yeah.
You know, like I think he played his character very, very well. And specifically in the first act, you can tell that he's someone who is brilliant, but very to himself. It doesn't know how to be a leader.
Yeah, he's very timid.
Exactly. And part 2, act 2, you can still see that he has some of that like timidness and a lot of unsureness, and still relies heavily on Jim. And then when he gets into that final third act, he has more confidence, but then he has those moments where he goes back into that really self-conscious, unsure of himself moments. Yeah. And I think that's probably why they went with Jay. Yeah.
He's just Canadian royalty when it comes to Hollywood.
He really is. In the same way that like what Greta Gerwig is Sacramento royalty.
That's right.
You know?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Did you guys, there was one specific scene that stuck out to me as kind of almost like a wholesome pleasing your dad moment, like finally making your dad proud of you, when they figure out how to get 2 million Blackberries on the network stable after they crash the network.
Yeah.
And they're bringing it to Jim, and they say, "Oh yeah, we figured it out." And no, I think it's actually the BBM. It's when they're finally doing the free texting, and they send the message. There's 2 great moments in that. Number 1 was he sends the message, "Come here, Watson," and they all celebrating or whatever. And then he tells him about the BlackBerry Messenger, and he says, "So you're telling me free texting only on BlackBerry?" And he goes, "Yeah," and he goes, "Fuck yeah. Fuck yes." And I was like, oh my gosh, the relief I felt from people.
I felt exactly that, because it always feels great when it's that person who's always stern and very tough and is hell yeah. And then like it's a cause for celebration.
It's the finale of Whiplash. When he
exactly.
Finally gives him the smile and he's like, yeah. But right after that, he's like a little kid again, trying to show his dad something. And he goes, do you notice the message I sent was "Come here, Watson"? That's what Alexander Graham Bell sent to his assistant said to him on the first phone call. See, it's like a historic thing. And he's like, yeah, shut the fuck, get out of here. All right, nerd.
So, something I thought this movie did a great job doing, and I think it has a lot to do with how they shot it, which Joseph kind of mentioned. It feels very docu style, at least that very first act, you know. The camera in a way is a character, right? And there's one, I forget which one, if it was in act 2 or 3, when I forget the character's name, but the one who's like the muscle is, listen here, you fucking nerds, we're gonna fucking get to work, and you're gonna stop playing with your little dicks. And then they like do a close up of the one single girl.
Yeah.
That's so good.
That was fucking hilarious. But that's very much that, like, the camera in itself is a character.
It felt like The Office at that moment.
You're right. And in that first act, in the first 5 minutes, they do such a good job of building tension. Of you see Jay just kind of sitting there, and you hear that hissing, and you hear that, and you see him kind of like look around. It starts with a rack shot of his ear as the camera pans over. Rack focuses on the pager or whatever intercom. Yes. And it has that bingo moment where it's very much discovering everything, and then to the point where they're at their offices, like enjoying each other's company, having fun. And that's an environment that I mean, to an extent, that's what Weekend was for me a little bit before it got super corporate. Yeah. No shame to anybody over there, but it was a fun job of fucking around. I mean, doing stuff. We were working really
productively.
Doing work.
No, but there was a lot of fun to be like had in that job. And I think like I hung out with a lot of the people there outside of work. I mean, it's where Joseph and I met, and you know, he's one of my greatest fucking homies. You know,
yeah, that's right.
Same here.
Sometimes you get those great work environments, and you're like, we can be productive and also have fun. It's a little different when you're working in a coal mine than working in an office. You know, there is obligate downtime in office when you're rendering something or waiting on hold for a phone call to an insurance company or something like that. So I dig that. It doesn't always have to be
working every single second of the day.
Yeah. I mean, that's my buddy Kevin. He's works for Google, and he's like, the culture there when he first got hired to Google was like unbelievable. You know, I remember he said something like, when they gave me the job offer, I'm like, what are my hours? And they're like, whatever you want.
Wow.
Just be productive. Just, you can work 7 days a week. You can work 2 days a week. You can work from home. You can work whatever, but you have to produce. And if you don't produce, you're on contract, you're out. So make sure there's a reason for us to renew your contract.
I see.
Okay. That is really something, man. That really is something.
Yeah.
You know, the ability to live and thrive in that, especially in a creative environment. And then Charles Purdy comes in. That's who Michael Ironside plays.
Yes.
Charles Purdy.
There we go.
Yeah. There was some with that character or the actor Michael Ironside, because they do the movie nights in Blackberry.
Yeah.
Matt Johnson wanted to show the movie Total Recall
with Michael Ironside
as the movie night, because Michael Ironside plays like an antagonist in that movie.
Yeah.
But I think they didn't want to.
They nixed it.
Get the rights or something. They're too complicated to obtain, because apparently Carolco, the studio that made that film, Total Recall, declared bankruptcy in the mid '90s.
So it's a free for all at this point, then.
Yeah. So they didn't want to spend months trying to find out who to obtain permission from.
That's funny.
So
I like the scene when Purdy does get handpicked by Jim. He's picking up the character. The actor's name is Sun Wong Cho.
Yes.
the voice actor
Who does, I know him as
YouTuber.
ProZD, the
Yes.
YouTuber. He does great shorts where he's like, anime protagonists are like this or whatever.
Yeah.
So funny. And he's got like 40 or 50 IMDb credits now. He does voice acting work. And he's in there. They're trying to snipe him from whatever company he works for, some head honcho. And Michael Ironside's character is just screaming at him.
Yeah.
Jim's, who is that guy? And the next day he's there. He's fuck, I left this job to get away from this asshole. And here he is. I like it. That was really funny. Really relatable. Okay, so when it comes to the limited series, so this is based off of what Variety's written, and this is based off of interviews with the author, the original book, and Matt Johnson. So Blackberry is never supposed to be two separate things. It was both projects offered dramatized insights into the Blackberry's parent company, Research in Motion, which I didn't realize that's what it was. I just knew it as RIM. Pre-pandemic, the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, or CBC, optioned Losing the Signal, the untold story behind the extraordinary rise and spectacular fall of Blackberry, by Jackie McNish and Sean Silkoff, and it was the intention of turning it into a miniseries. So the entire time, that was what they actually wanted to do. They settled in with Matt Johnson, Matt Miller, who directed the movie, And it was a creative, original take on the story that could have possibly been a bit boring to retell, but we had basically faith in Matt Johnson. It's also an interesting piece of Canadian history. So since it was from Ontario or from Waterloo, they wanted to keep it a very Canadian production. 8 months into the scripting vision, they realized it felt more like a film, so they flipped it, trying to determine the best course of action. And they never decided at that point it was going to be two things until it was very near the end of production. It was always going to be one, and then it kept switching back and forth. We made the conscious decision to do a film while we were talking to the actors. Miller was one of the writers. He says, it's way different than something like the Snyder Cut. There's not a significant difference between the two things. There's about 16 minutes of new footage in ours, and the Snyder Cut is very different in the storytelling. Matt Johnson estimated they shot about 30% more footage than what we wound up in the film. And when they put together the cuts for the TV series, they added content that they felt was appealing to a Canadian audience specifically. More hockey, more insight into Balsilie's attempts to buy the Pittsburgh Penguins in 2006. Mm-hmm. And if you watch both versions, you'll notice that the big changes are at the beginning and the end of each episode, where they put more time refining the pacing and the rhythm. And I did feel like there was more lead up to the end of each one of the episodes, the first two episodes at least. So it was a little bit more tension. And let's see here. There's a quote from Miller. In some ways, it was made great writing decisions to run things up to a commercial break and then to pull them back. We used commercial breaks as a story device and started thinking about them even when we were cutting the film. It's painful to cut off stuff from any project. Normally, filmmakers have trouble cutting out scenes that they spend a lot of time on, says Matt Johnson. It was easy to ruthlessly cut things out of Blackberry because it was like, well, at least there's an idea that the footage could have a second life. So I thought that was really interesting from a creator's perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting that this story, I mean, as portrayed in the movie at least, and the story of Social Network follow almost the exact same trajectory where you have two people, Andrew Garfield or Mark Zuckerberg and whoever Andrew Garfield is. And then Mark Zuckerberg meets Justin Timberlake or founder of Napster. And then they get more involved and slowly exiling Andrew Garfield at a certain point.
That's a good point. I never thought about that.
And then in this, you know, with Jim, I mean, he's there in the very beginning.
Yeah.
Essentially. But eventually they weed out Doug and like he quits, I think, at a certain point, right?
Yeah, he walks away essentially when their friendship ends, kind of.
Yeah. So he slowly gets pushed away and pushed out of being involved in Blackberry and everything, or at least that's how he feels. And so it still ends up being them two. So it's like they sacrifice their friendships, much like what Jim says, cut out if it hurts the most, or cut out people in your life that aren't gonna help you succeed or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's interesting that there's three people involved, and then a new person gets involved, and they push out the original friend.
Yeah, exactly. It's interesting parallels there. So I really liked Social Network. I really liked Tetris. I really liked.
Oh yeah, Tetris was more just fun to watch.
Yeah, it was more fun. I liked Blackberry. I didn't watch Flamin' Hot. Which
no,
I heard it wasn't great.
I felt like a corporate grab at something.
Do you know that Eva Longoria directed that?
Did she really?
What?
Yeah.
Oh, I did not know that.
I'm pretty sure. Let's see here. Got that cat name on lock. Let's see here. Am I correct right with that, or am I tripping?
Eva Longoria directed that.
I know she's been directing more stuff lately. Let's see here. Yep, Eva Longoria directed.
Wow.
Interesting.
What else has she done? Now we're on Flaming Hot. Sorry, everyone.
Oh, it's fine.
Oh, now I'm really depressed.
Let's see here. What else did she direct? She has 18 credits. A lot of TV, though.
Oh.
Let's see.
Desperate
here.
Housewives?
Probably. Let's see here. Mundo, a short. Executive producer. No, not executive producer. I want director. Director. Here we go. Let's see.
Why Women Kill TV series.
Yes. Gordita Chronicles TV series, 1 episode. La Guerra Civil.
Only 2 movies. She did a TV movie.
Mm-hmm. Jane the Virgin, 1 episode. 3 episodes of Blackish.
Glamorous was the TV movie, and then Flamin' Hot.
Well, also La Guerra Civil. That's an hour and 42-minute movie.
Okay.
Probably Spanish language movie, I'd imagine.
Huh.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, that's Flamin' Hot. So I haven't watched that.
Flamin' Hot is about Cheetos?
Yeah, the Flamin' Hot.
They're creating the Flaming Hot flavor of the Cheetos.
Oh, okay.
And
because there's Flamin' Hot Funyuns.
Supposedly it's all bullshit, by the way.
Yeah, I think that was like they wanted it to be like this very Hispanic driven story, but it's not accurate at all, apparently.
So you get the ultra realistic, gritty version in The Social Network. You get the very fun, campy version in Tetris. You get the more comedic but also serious version in Blackberry. You get the alternative history version in Flamin' Hot, and then you get Frosted by Jerry Seinfeld, who's directing the Pop-Tart story.
Oh yeah.
Is this true?
Yeah.
Yeah, he is.
And it's a satire of all these movies. It's coming out this year or next year.
I don't know. I haven't looked into it.
He's got a very small part in it, but he wrote and directed it.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and it's like Tony the Tiger's a character, is like played by a known actor, and it's
Hugh
like
Grant.
Hugh Grant plays Tony the Tiger, and it's got, so that's like the even more preposterous version of it, and it's almost weird, the Al Yankovic story. It's telling it in a ridiculous version of the truth, which is 100% false.
Yeah.
The 100% true story of Weird Al Yankovic.
Yeah.
Where he fought the Medellin and the cartel.
And the food base. I mean, the founder of McDonald's.
Yeah, that was good.
That was more serious, but also kind of funny.
Are we cucks for capitalism for liking this?
I want to know how McDonald's got started.
Yeah. Can we get the Crossfire story? How that board game came to be?
Oh, yeah. Hungry Hippos.
Hungry Hippos, the movie. The gritty retelling from the Poonaverse.
Yeah. I mean, we got board game movies. Is it Jumanji? Although that was a movie first before it was
Battleship.
Oh, yeah,
That was
Battleship.
one.
I can't think of any other board game movies.
Pixels. Does that count?
No, those are video games. Those
Tron. Well, that was Tron was not a game before. I don't think it was an arcade game before the movie came out, though.
Pinball. Where was the pinball movie?
Pinball Wizard. There's a Pinball Wizard. Movie. I think it's just called The Wizard.
I don't know. Isn't Pinball Wizard a song? The Rush or something?
That's the Pinball Wizard.
Oh, okay.
Which came first? Heather, tell us. Which came first? Pinball Wizard the song or The Wizard the movie?
The Wizard the movie.
Yeah. Let's see here. It says, despite being one of the rare Canadian movies to get as a wide release, approximately 200 theaters in Canada, as mainstream Hollywood movies get in the country, the movie was a huge box office failure in Canada, grossing only $300,000 the first weekend.
Wow,
really?
I actually was not excited. I thought this was going to be popular over there.
I know.
That's insane.
Yeah. I thought that when Jim kind of gives up and he's like, all he wants at this point is to buy the Penguins.
He's done with Blackberry. Like he wants to get out.
That I lost the interest in it in that point on his storyline. I was like, come on, man, help your friends out. What are you doing?
At the end of the day, he's not a good person.
Yeah.
Well, because like it all comes back to him when he does the
It's stock fraud.
the stock fraud thing.
Backdating stock options.
Yeah, well, we'll just we'll retroactively make it more, and then you can. He's like, how much are you getting paid for this? $10 million.
I know.
Everybody's getting paid $10 million.
I know. How much are they paying for this? I probably shouldn't say. They're paying me $10 million. Yeah, me too. I love that. And I love that when they come in, they ask him, does anybody have any idea what Codex mainframing is or whatever? And only those two guys raise their hand. And they're like, okay, we'll make it work. And then he shows him he's running the entire network, AT&T's entire network on the guy's laptop. And he goes, why is it working so slow? And he goes, I got the new Baldur's Gate running. We hacked it. Look, movie time. Every time he moves, movie time. I was like, fucking great.
The
Total nerds.
When it all comes around and the who comes and gets them, like the legally who comes and gets them and starts rating there.
SEC.
So that's like the FCC for cell phones or for networks.
No, so the FCC is the FCC does control anything that's broadcast, over airwaves, which would include cell phone usage or anything that even has an RH or RF, like a radio frequency, has FCC like numbers, like authorization numbers on any product that's like that. The SEC is like the stock commission. It's like Federal Trading Commission.
Oh, okay. So
they're the same people who would take down the dudes from
Wolf of Wall Street.
Wolf of Wall Street, or in the GameStop trading thing.
Oh yeah.
What was that called?
Stupid money?
Dumb money. Yeah,
money.
Exactly. Oh, we have answers in the chat. Pinball Wizard from The Who, from The Who's Tommy, is from the 1970s, and The Wizard, has Fred Savage and is in the 80s. So Pinball Wizard, the song, came first. Thanks, Andrew. Love it. Anything else you guys wanted to say? Call out specifically any scenes that stick out to you or anything?
No, I think this like that I like we kind of talked about already, but the end of him in the warehouse manually doing
So sad.
what he thinks he's.
I still felt bad for him, even though he was the
I know.
shithead near the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just turned into a shithead.
Yeah. I was a big fan of when they're having their second meeting with Jim and they're at the diner and Jim's going to pay for it. And he's, no, please, we can do that. And then brings out the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle wallet.
Oh, the Velcro. That was hella fun. Yeah.
Very good. Very good. I liked that. I also liked when they're in that meeting at the diner and Mike is starting to babble and ramble, and Jim picks up a piece of paper and crumbles it up, and he goes, "Oh," he shuts up. They actually do have a good working relationship. You know,
That's
one hand washing the other in this weird symbiotic relationship, and
And the whole time the reason why Jim gets involved in the first place is he like in big fashion, he quits his job, right? He quits his job.
No, he gets fired.
He gets fired. Okay. He gets fired from his job, and almost out of spite, he's joining with these people to.
yeah, it's interesting.
He's like with the whole like you have to make me CEO and I have to have 50% of the company.
It's one of those things where I think he was desperate.
Yeah.
And in that desperate, like he's desperately looking for something. That's literally the presentation that they left there. And he's like, I guess this shit sounds interesting.
Yeah.
And
Did your guys' version have him at a like unemployment office?
no.
So there's a small scene. I don't remember it in the first version, but he's sitting in an unemployment office and it's a government ran entity, and he's okay, Jim Balsley. He's like Balsley. He's like, okay, great, awesome. And what type of work are you looking for? He's like tech, securities, trading, marketing, anything like that. All right. And what was your last? I'm typing away. What was your last job at? Shinneman and Brothers or whatever? And he goes, senior vice president. The guy goes, oh, very good for you. Awesome, very good. And he types away. He's typing in. He goes, all right, so let's see here. Where do you see yourself in 10 years? And Jim goes, owning a professional NHL team. And the guy goes, good one. And he's completely dead-faced, like staring at him.
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, okay. He puts it in his computer there. And I think that's part of the Canadian audience, like, catering to the Canadian audience.
Yeah.
Canadian humor.
Well, they spend more time they planted the seeds that he always wanted a hockey team. That was his whole goal. So once he got the money,
Canadians in their hockey.
I know, crazy. Them, which do they like more, hockey or maple syrup? Or apologizing.
We have a couple Canadian listeners.
Yeah.
Let us know.
Mitch and Steven.
Yeah, Mitch and Steven. Happy birthday again, Mitch.
There's that moment in the first act where, because I think he goes in hoping that it's going to be like a winner. But there's that moment where he realizes it is a winner when he calls, I forget, like the company they had a contract with, and they were supposed to get millions of dollars. It's like, all right, we'll pay you.
US
we'll pay
Robotics.
you this. Yeah. And he's like, all right, we'll pay you this, but we also want the
Patent for the phone.
Yeah, we want the patent for the phone. Mm-hmm. And that's the moment
He's like,
everything
wait, what phone?
switches instantly.
Yeah.
He's, oh, fuck, we need to fucking go immediately. This is exactly what I thought it was.
Yeah.
It's a winner. This movie does a great job of just having a lot of tension. Like, my brother saw this and said it was very anxiety inducing,
A lot of it,
Yeah.
I mean, there's that moment where I think towards the end where Jim is like, he's got to be in two different meetings in two different states. Like he has to go to New York and Atlanta within the same day to attend these different like board meetings. Like one to go meet with Mike and to attend some meeting in New York, and then he has to go to
Verizon.
Atlanta to
talk to the AT&T guy before he gets on a plane.
Yes. And he was like, fuck it, I'm going to both. I was like, no way.
Bro, you can't be in two places at once as much as you want to fake. This is reality.
Do you guys remember the actual event when all the Blackberries went out?
I don't remember that.
I because it was on the news. I definitely remember like that being an event.
No, I don't remember that at all.
What was it in the movie? It's you have a collect call from what the fuck is going on? What was it?
Yeah.
You have a collect call from Bob. I had a baby. It's a boy.
Yeah, dude, that poor fucking phone did not deserve that.
I just like that how Glenn Howerton like fully committed into his performance and like being that stoned faced asshole who's ready to snap at any given moment.
Yeah,
because he really portrays that
intense,
that look on his face.
Yeah,
like when he gets the when he gets the follow up call when he's just at his house like drinking, and he gets the call from Mike saying they're gonna do it. he's okay, and then he just hangs up. There's no words
Yeah. I accept.
exchanged. Yeah.
Couple.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say I love the retelling that Doug does. You know, every time he's and so he says "bitch." You know?
yeah.
Time slows down. You can see the particles of dust on the floor. His character is so good. If you listen to the commentary, I listened to some clips of the commentary from Matt Johnson, and he has specific reasons why they chose all of the shirts for the movie too. All
Really?
his like video games and band shirts and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's kind of interesting. I won't go into much of that, but this is one. I mean, Matt Johnson is so detail oriented, and he really has a love for the craft of film that I think it's worth, if you have the physical version, watch the commentary version of it. A couple of quick spoiler or trivia bits before we go into initial or final grades. But in the movie, they imply that the Blackberry is based off of the name of the stain that Mike has on his shirt when he goes into the into the meeting. But in reality, it was a marketing team, and they had 40 other names in contention. Blackberry was specifically chosen because of the way it was on the keyboard keys, is a reference to the droplets of the fruit. So the physical keyboard looked almost like the little nodules on a Blackberry.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, it was like dark keyboard. There's a line when Jim is basically cussing out the owners of the NHL for not letting him in.
Yeah, they've 26-0
Yes.
unanimously.
Well, the dude's right. What a fucking idiot. He was literally getting ready to purchase a stadium, an arena in Canada to move Pittsburgh Penguins into Canada.
Yeah.
Before he even was the owner. Well, what kind of ball? Well, Jim balls. Yeah. But he says, "I'm from Waterloo, where the vampires hang out." And there's a viral video that was set in, it was Ontario, and there was a guy on the street being interviewed about what it's like to be in Ontario or Waterloo or whatever. And he said that there was religious persecution. He's like, the interview was insane. He's increasingly getting more and more angry about this, like some religious persecution or something. And I was like a vampire in the streets of Waterloo. They were holding crosses at me, and I was being commissioned. And then he eventually rips his shirt off in the middle of the interview. The guy's insane.
This is a real interview.
Yeah, this is like a viral video interview from way back in the day, 03, 05 or something like that. And then
so that line is a reference
to that viral video.
Random viral video. It's hella funny.
And then the very final shot where it pulls back and Mike is fixing phone after phone after phone in the warehouse.
Yeah.
That's a reference to the Raiders of the Lost Ark warehouse shot,
which they show
early in the movie. Yeah. And he says it's everybody's favorite movie or whatever. Or it's Mike's favorite movie. That's what he says. You're missing your favorite movie. Yeah. So I think we've talked at length about
I don't know
this.
what Tyler would think about this.
I don't know. Well, I guess I guarantee he didn't watch this.
If you guys haven't seen it, Nirvana the band, the show, it's hard to find.
Nirvana the band, the show.
Yeah, it's by Matt Johnson as well. It's really, really good.
This is like a short.
No, it's a series. I think it had 3 seasons.
Oh, okay.
I saw the first 2. I'm trying so desperately to find the third one. It's almost impossible to find.
It doesn't even show a 3rd season on Just Watch.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah.
And it says it's not available anywhere on Just Watch.
You can't watch it anywhere. It's such a fucking shame.
You're gonna have to sail
Where'd
the
you
7
watch it?
seas.
I saw it on Daily Motion.
Okay, yeah.
It was one of those. Oh, here we uploaded it. Watch it, and it's a mix of things are staged in a way. Not really. Situations are planned, but they use like real people in real environments. So it feels very much, I don't want to say like a prank show, but there are real people's reaction that dictate how the story unfolds.
Two
It's really,
lifelong
really good.
best friends and roommates are planning the greatest musical act in history of the modern world. That's what the synopsis is.
You can watch season 2, episode 1, The Burger on YouTube, and episode 2 on YouTube.
Oh, great.
It's great. It's also a love letter, that show. So sorry, as you were saying.
Oh, great. No, it's good. So let's put some grades on this. Javi, what are you going to grade Blackberry?
I mean, honestly, I enjoyed it so much, I'd probably give it an A- to A, somewhere around there.
All right. You're very tight with your grades.
I hope so.
You're very tight with your grades. What's an A+ for you?
A+?
It's only
Oh
an A+
gosh.
movie.
It's a fiction. Is it only
I mean,
exists in fiction?
I mean, honestly, it would probably have to be like Whiplash. I don't know. That's
Whiplash,
probably an A+.
Godfather.
No, not even Godfather.
A- for Godfather.
A- for Godfather.
Marriage Story.
Oh my God, I did love. No, that's an A-, I think.
Okay.
I think that's another really close one for me. Is probably I really loved Last Black Man in San Francisco.
That's solid. Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably an A. I don't know though. Whiplash is the only one I can think of off the top of my head right now.
That'd be an easy A. What about easy A?
The movie Easy A?
Yeah.
That's an easy like B.
Oh, okay.
It's an easy B. All right, cool. So A- or A? Porter.
Yeah, I'll say A-. It's probably an A-.
Okay.
Okay. Joseph, what's your grade for Blackberry?
I think it is an A for me. Yeah, just it's really entertaining. Just taking something like, I guess, sort of dramatic, a real life event like this, and just condensing it into this really entertaining and funny, and then casting it well.
Yeah.
With the right people. And it's really tense at moments and really exciting and shot well, looks good. Yeah, it's just really good, really compelling story.
What's an A+ for you?
A+.
I'm just curious now.
I mean, Les Mis, Tree of Life, Children of Men.
Those three.
I'm sure there's more.
The Hip Hop Witch.
It's Dune and Dune Part 1, Dune Part 2.
They're both A+?
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah.
Unaccompanied minors.
Yeah, Unaccompanied Minors. The Hip Hop Witch.
All right, cool. Okay, so you good?
Yeah, A.
I probably would grade on first watch, the original theatrical version on my first viewing, B, probably B, maybe B+, but probably closer to a B. On this rewatch, it's a easy, solid A. Yeah, A, right in the middle of A. Very funny, very engaging, very suspenseful at times. Good writing, good like cyclical writing in that regard. Characters are super fun. Minus points for the wigs. Mike's wigs, yeah. Minus points for that.
Do you wear wigs?
I do not like obvious wigs. Not a huge wig fan. But all the energy of the nerds and their fun time that they had together was like, man, I really miss those times in my life. You know, just geeking out with friends for long periods of time together. And taking a story about a fucking Blackberry and making it this interesting is like a feat, in my opinion.
100%.
So, all right, that is it for Blackberry. Now it's time for the Wheel of Destiny. 1 wheel, 8 slots, 3 hosts. This is the Wheel of Destiny. All right, Blackberry off the wheel.
It's a Patreon pick, so
Both of our patrons were, and we're actually going to replace. I'm prepared now to replace the two Patreon picks. Let me erase this fully here. I'm going to have to do like a deep clean on this at some point. Some of these have been on there for a while. All right. So now we're going to recycle back to the Patreon. Here are our Patreon lists here. And we are going to go with Binge Lord Dan.
Okay.
And his pick, A Very Long Engagement.
A Very Long Engagement.
Very Long Engagement. Now, I've heard from him, this may be his favorite movie of all time. I think.
2004?
It's an A+ film. All right.
Yeah. Yeah, it may be. I think he said it was his favorite movie of all time. If not, it's very high up there for him.
Jean-Pierre Jeunet.
Yep.
Director.
Classic. And we're going to go with Tyler's kin, who she's been a Patreon member for quite some time now, a more recent Patreon member.
Mother?
No, this is Mackenzie.
Oh,
sister.
Sibling.
And she gave me 2 choices. She told me to pick between the 2, and I chose Fern Gully.
Ooh, what was
Fern
the other
Gully?
one?
Yeah.
What was the other one?
I can't remember.
Oh.
Fern Gully.
Use your brain!
I'm very sorry I didn't use my brain for that. All right. So next up that's going to be on the list, we have Jack Fitzpatrick. He's going to have his movie chosen, which is Stanford Prison Experiment. That's the next one.
Oh, okay.
Nice. And then at that point, we're pretty much back up to the top of the list and kind of jockeying back and forth. So we're going to be going to Heather Sachs, who's in the chat. Heather, you're going to have a movie, which I think she might have sent me one in the past, but I'll ask you again one more time if it's changed since then. So that'll be after we get another Patreon pick. So I'm going to recap the wheel for new listeners and new viewers. This is the Wheel of Destiny. We have 8 slots. We have A Very Long Engagement from Binge Lord Dan, Ferngully from Patreon Mackenzie, Windy City Heat from Pete, The Brave Little Toaster from Pete, Mr. and Mrs. Smith from Tyler, American History X from Tyler, Oppie from Joseph, and Charade from Joseph. So here we go.
Will it land on Tyler?
How you want to call it?
Yeah, let's see. Oh, wait, where are my glasses? Where are my glasses? Wow. Windy City and Heat.
Windy City Heat.
Oh, Windy City Heat. Sorry, my bad.
All right,
No
cool.
Tyler pick again.
No Tyler pick. Sorry, Tyler.
Dang.
Well, he's not here. We would have forfeited anyways.
Yeah.
All
He'll
right.
never get in a movie review.
Nope, never. The board is rigged at this point. Okay, so let's see. Windy City Heat. Let's see where it is streaming.
Windy City Heat. Is this an old movie?
I think it's like 95.
Oh,
No, 03.
God.
03. Windy City Heat 03. Not streaming anywhere.
Awesome.
Well, I'll have to figure out how to find. I bet you it's probably on YouTube somewhere.
Oh, the Bobcat Goldthwait movie.
Was it a Bobcat movie?
He directed it, and he's in it too.
This is the guy that did World's Greatest Dad.
And Sleeping Dogs.
Did he direct that?
Yeah.
The Ron Williams movie?
Yeah, he also directed the Sasquatch movie too.
Which one?
Something Creek.
It's something like that.
Here, I'll look it up right now. Bobcat
Some Creek?
It's like Willow Creek or something.
It is something like that. It's like a found footage big fucking movie.
Yeah. He was also played as an actor. Oh, he directed Shakes the Clown also. God Bless America. What's his name? Bill Murray's brother who's in God Bless America.
Willow Creek.
Willow Creek.
Oh,
Yeah,
Willow
you
Creek.
were spot on.
Also the voice of Pain from Hercules.
Is that true?
One of the little demons, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So Windy City Heat. Let me get back to the synopsis here. Here's the synopsis from IMDb. A man caught up in the glamour of being a Hollywood celebrity has no idea that the production he's in is a fake. This toes the line between like Borat and like Jackass or Tom Green Show or something like that.
Okay.
And this is starring Tony Barbary as Mole, Perry Caravello as himself, Don Barris as Don, Roman Polanski is played by Dane Cook, Bobcat Goldthwait is the director, Carson Daly plays himself, Jimmy Kimmel plays himself, Adam Carolla plays himself,
Everyone is playing themselves for the most part.
Tammy Faye Baker is playing herself, and the three guys, Don Barris, Tony Barbarelli, and Scary Perry Caravello, they are known as the Big Three. That's what they call themselves. And Perry is this Carl Pilkington from An Idiot Abroad. He's just this really weird personality, and they just are like, we got to focus all our attention on this fucking guy and putting him in weird situations to have him blow up because he has a crazy temper like Sam Kinison.
Okay.
So that's the movie. I will try to find like a YouTube link for it or something like
Can
that.
you rent it?
It doesn't say it's available anywhere.
Oh, God. Unstreamable.
Yeah. Windy City Heat YouTube. Let's see. Yeah, you can get on YouTube, hour and a half, full length movie.
Free?
Yeah, it's free on YouTube.
Sweet.
Hell yeah.
Let's watch it right now.
Yeah. Our stream is going to continue. It's a Comedy Central Films. Comedy Central Presents is the first thing I saw when it popped it up.
I didn't know they like produce movies.
Yeah. I guess now that I think about it, I don't know of any other ones. So reason I picked this because it's a weird movie that no one's ever heard of. And
Have you seen it?
I've seen chunks of it, but Scary Perry is a very weird character.
Did you stream pick this? I feel like I've heard of this.
We talked about it when I put it on the wheel for a minute.
Oh, I see. That's
Yeah.
probably it. Okay.
Why isn't this movie The Town? Well, we'll see how close to The Town it is. All right. Anything else you guys have? Javi, do you have anything you want to promote before we say goodbye?
No, you can follow me on Instagram. Is that period Javi? That's a period. Don't spell period. It's the symbol.
It's
the dot.
It's that Javi.
Yeah.
Is that dot?
Is that hot?
Is that dot Javi?
Yeah.
Oh, Tyler's in the chat.
Oh, what do you say?
He says, I didn't find any swords at the dump.
Is that what you were looking for?
Maybe
That's why you didn't come? You were looking for swords? Who's your sword guy?
Who would throw away a sword?
You need to look for stuff that people are throwing away, like Microsoft Zunes or Blackberries. All right, cool. So
That's it.
Look you up on Instagram.
Yeah,
Anything for
yeah.
your like day-to-day job, production stuff you want to
Don't do
promote?
drugs?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I work at a place that does PSA. So, have naloxone on you. It'll save lives.
Naloxone, is that the Narcan?
Narcan.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Narcan is the Band-Aid. Naloxone is the...
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's the actual product.
Yeah.
It's like a
Yeah.
facial tissue.
Exactly. Yeah. Kleenex versus... Yeah. Exactly.
Okay.
I'm going to try to post more on Instagram in 4 weeks. So
In 4 weeks?
follow me in 4 weeks. I'm
Okay.
going to try to get shit up on there.
Tyler says, Jobs was a trailblazer.
He's probably watching it from the beginning.
He's watching the movie now.
No, he's probably watching a stream from the beginning.
That's great. Yes, Heather. I'm going to put the link in the YouTube. I'll probably post it up on the Facebook page and Twitter and stuff for people that want to watch Windy City Heat along with us.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Anything else?
No.
All right, so thank you to everyone who's joined us in the YouTube Live, who stuck with us from the beginning. We got Andrew Martin from Cult of Cinema. Look for him on TikTok as Cult of Cinema with an S, S-I-N-E-M-A. And go look through the back catalog of the podcast. Andrew Watches Movies, solid movie podcast. One-man show, hard show to produce. And look for all of us, including Andrew, including Heather, and all of our pals on the Cinematics Facebook group. Just look up Cinematics, and there's a Facebook page, and then there's the Facebook group. The group is the fun one where all the fun happens. Until next time. Thank you for joining us, everybody. Follow us next week as we review Windy City Heat, and it'll be in the YouTube notes for this show, and it'll be in the YouTube note or the show notes for the next one, but it'll be too late by then. So look it up. Follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/MCFC podcast, and send us an email, mcfcpodcast@gmail.com.
And
Follow us on Twitter and Instagram, a Middle Class Film Class.
Close enough.
Something like
Instagram,
that.
TikTok, Twitter, Podcast MCFC.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yes, and go to the YouTube channel, support us there. All the links are in the show notes. We'll see you next time.
Goodbye.
See ya.
There you go.
Class dismissed.
I gotta get out of here.
The bell doesn't dismiss you. I dismiss you.
You're free to go.
See you next week.
See you later.
That's a wrap.
Great show.